Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Paul Indrigo here. Today I have the really great privilege of meeting with someone that I just recently found out about, and I wanted to find out myself more about what she does and her story. So I decided to ask her over to join me on the podcast today, and I want to introduce all of you to Tammy Defoe, and I'll let her do a little bit of intro of who she is, and we'll sort of go from there. So thanks for joining us today, Tammy. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for having me, Paul. I'm glad we were able to connect recently.
Absolutely. So let's do the thing where I always like to have a very simple. Again, I don't do a script. I just like to have this conversational. So for me, if I was, and again, I am just meeting you for the first time today. I always like to hear the backstory. So let's start off a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up. Obviously maybe. And I know we have some similar backgrounds in terms of careers. So let's go into that a little bit and sort of work our way up to present day and what you're obviously doing with this amazing expo and conference.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so actually I'm from Windsor originally. It's a group in Windsor, Ontario. And I was always an outstanding student, so I kind of got high marks and stuff like that. Kind of always a high achiever. I started doing aerobics, used to be called, when I was like 10 years old. I started teaching classes when I was 17. I taught now it's called like group fitness. So I taught group fitness classes for 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thousands of people over time, first in Windsor, then I moved to London, Ontario in uh, 2009 actually. So, that's one thing. Like I've always been a person. I used to be a cheerleader in high school as well. So always about like motivating people, things like that. I mean, of course, there's more to it than just that, right? Like I've got have my certifications in fitness and group and personal as well.
Mm.
So then, yeah, I graduated high school with all, scholarships and things like that. I went to university, took a biochemistry program, just took 1 year of that actually. So a variety of topics in the science. Also took, uh, reasoning skills. Actually, it was a philosophy course, which is actually pretty good. I think they should do that to everybody in high school, even to take that course. But
Sure.
anyways, then went back as a mature student to, well, actually, before I did that, right? So I worked in food and beverage service since I was 14. I worked at Burger King. And then I became a supervisor when I was about 18. And then I worked up to management, right? And fast food, basically, right? And then I went back to school, my late 20s, so around age 29, in kinesiology, University of Windsor. I got my personal fitness trainer certification then. So then I became working in the fitness industry full time, educating people in exercise, like lifestyle change, nutrition, things like that. Got my nutrition certification as well. And yeah, so basically trained, again, hundreds of people from all different ages in wellness, nutrition, fitness, things like that.
Yep.
And yeah, so in that position, I did both as an employee, right, and a supervisor, but also self-employment. So I have my own business, training clients in their homes. This is my kitty cat. Sorry about that. Right, and so yeah, so again, I just this kind of really
Surprise pet visits are the best part of a podcast.
okay.
We haven't talked about this, but that's been one of the funnest little, almost like not blooper, but just one of the fun things that happens. It just relaxes everybody.
Yeah.
A dog, or in my case, my cat did that once, walked across my keyboard, and then decided to jump on my power bar and turn off the whole system. This happened in a real podcast. You can't make this stuff up.
I
So
know.
welcome, all kitties are welcome to join us.
Yeah, well, we'll see if my one I fed them beforehand, so they probably won't come back, but we'll see what happens. But they're adorable, right? Keep me
Yeah,
company.
of course.
Yeah, so that's where I really honed my training skills, coaching skills, and then I needed a change. So I switched to financial services. I got my mutual fund license. I got my
So
life.
let's do the chronology, because I'm losing a little bit of the track of the time. So
Okay.
2009, you said you got into fitness training and you became a personal trainer. Is that
So
what you
actually,
said?
when I was age 29,
20, oh, sorry, 29.
29,
You were age
right,
29.
right.
And when did you make the switch from fitness into this current, or the next jump was, you said, financial services, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind
Okay.
of like food and beverage, but also some part-time fitness. Then I went to full-time fitness. And then I switched to financial services when I was living in London, like 2016, no, 2016, 2017. I just did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Got tons of training in business development. learn obviously everything about the financial services industry, collaborate with mortgage brokers and lawyers and realtors and things like that for client service. That's
Yeah.
when I started attending business networking events and started my own referral networking group as well. And yeah, and then I wanted again, I wanted a change in that. So nothing was holding me back in London. So I decided to move to the GTA. Right. So that was 2018. And so I just working part-time, doing like background work and things like that, and making phone calls for company. And then a back injury I had prior came back really bad and I couldn't walk and stand anymore. So I was actually in a wheelchair in 2018, which is a really hard part of my life, of course. You can imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pain was just excruciating. But anyway, so once the pain went down a little bit, I still had to make some money, right? Like, I mean, things went down though too. Like, I had to sell my car and stuff like that. But then I'm like, what can I do? So I was teaching English over the internet to students in Japan and China. Again, obviously being, teaching stuff like that my whole life and stuff. And then I wanted to start getting out of the house. I progressed to using a walker. And I was applying to jobs. So then I was like, while I'm doing that, maybe I'll start my own business. So what am I good at that I like doing that, there's a need for? I'm like, well, look, I've been doing public speaking my whole life. I also like won public speaking contests when I was in grade school and high school. And so then, yeah, I developed my own public speaking course. I registered GTApreneurs as a sole proprietorship in 2019, January. So I started doing a public speaking course. I hosted a business networking event. And then I was offered a business development manager position as a maternity leave. After 3 months, decided that I didn't like office politics. So I'm like, no, thanks. I'm going to go self-employed. And of course, once you're self-employed, you don't want to go back ever, right? So anyway, so yeah, basically started GTApreneurs full-time in about November of 2019 and hosted a few networking events. And then, of course, COVID happened. But COVID was actually good for my business. I mean, obviously, it wasn't good that we couldn't meet people in person, but for even like yourself as well, like we've all met people we never would have met before, right? It just kind of opened everything up because now we
I always say and I guess the line is what's the silver lining, but I always look at the worst thing that's happened to me in my life, and I'm talking about losing family members and health issues. Whenever this stuff comes up, I just figured out a way to train my brain to say, okay, what's the upside?
yeah,
How do I benefit from this?
yeah,
It sounds really strange because your brain doesn't want to do that. It wants to sort of burrow in and not do anything when bad things happen. But if you train it just like muscles, and I'm pretty sure there's probably some psychology about this, but if you tell your brain, listen, look for the bright side, look for the silver lining, see what's the opportunity. And obviously you did. So, well
yeah.
done to you. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I have exactly the same philosophy. So the phrase I use with myself is at least. Well, at least the weather's nice today, right?
Yeah.
At least my kitty cats, are friendly and love me and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, and it actually can really change your outlook right away, right? There was a book actually that I had to read when I was trained to be a assistant manager at McDonald's that was called Happiness is a Choice,
Hmm.
right? And just remembering that the cover, the title of the book, Happiness is a Choice, right? It can make all the difference in the world. Like, I mean, we've all seen people that something bad happens, you're like, oh my gosh, this ruined my whole day. Why does it have to ruin your whole day? Right?
Professional sufferers. There are actually people who are professional sufferers. I am afraid to tell you that I know some of them very closely in my life, and they are very, very difficult people to be around because everything is the worst thing in the world.
Right.
Every event, oh my God, isn't that terrible?
Right.
And you literally you're almost infected if
Hmm.
you spend too much time. So I always make sure it's very short visits.
Yeah.
Hi, hello, goodbye.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to because that kind of mentality brings people down, right? And we've all gone through challenges. So I definitely recommend everybody out there that whatever your motivational saying is to yourself. So you're like, what's the bright side kind of thing, right? Or for myself at least, well, at least I got a new client today. Oh, at least, whatever the case may be, then it is something that can keep you going, right? Because we all, we have also have challenges. So then with the business, again, we did COVID. We moved our events right on to COVID. We started our first referral networking group in March 2020. So now we have two referral networking groups. So what these are is we have one member per profession in each group, like just one realtor, one mortgage, one financial advisor, and then so on. And we meet every week on Zoom. And then, we do a roundtable. So we, keep up with each other's positives from personal life, from business, things like that. And then we all do something every week to support each other. So it could be liking, commenting, sharing members' posts, or to bump into the top of the newsfeed to get them more views. So could subscribe to the YouTube channel, give them a LinkedIn review, Google review, obviously, give them a referral, become their client. And then members ask for what they want. So these groups are really successful, right? And our members, a lot of them just become friends over time. We have a WhatsApp chat together where we stay connected between meetings. Members, of course, have one-to-ones with each other. Members who like to do things in person, in addition to the Zoom calls, they'll come to our open networking events when they have time. I mean, some members are so busy, they get enough business just from being in the referral group where we do everything online that they don't come to the open networking events, but some people, they come regularly. The other part of the referral networking groups, which is really unique to us, is I have business and professional development and training during the meetings. That's the second part of the meeting. So myself as a business coach and consultant, then that's something extra I bring to the table, right? So how did I become a business coach and consultant? Well, when you take all of my experience from, let's say, food and beverage, working up to management, food and beverage, and then into fitness, both working at gyms and then having my own business as well, working in financial services, which even though I'm kind of working with a company, that you're still self-employed, right? Then you're getting clients that particular way. And actually, I forgot to mention that when I was living in London, I went back to school again, but in the nutrition program. And so how does nutrition equate to business? Well, so yeah, we have science courses and stuff like that, but they actually made us all take first year business, a course from Ivy School of Business, which is like one of the top premier schools in Canada. And so like a lot of us, we didn't like the course when we first started. It was not how our brains were wired. We're all scientists.
Yeah.
But you know what? I learned so much in that course, right? And it was tough course. It was like 4-hour exams, all writing, no multiple choice, case studies, analyze this business. Let's start with the whole marketing thing. Let's start with the operations, start with the human resources and things like that. So between that and then, taking being a financial advisor and doing that world, like that's really what developed me into this, and then running my business for a few years and doing the coaching more as a group, and then people of course started coming to me for one-to-one help. So that's how I evolved into what I'm doing now. And for business consulting, I just finished a project for a nonprofit as a third party, a business consultant to newcomers who are looking to start their own businesses. The other type of people I work with are people who already have their own businesses, but they're just not getting enough clients. So whether they need assistance with just the whole business development process, right? Prospecting, networking skills, public speaking skills, how to create a webinar, how to get people to your webinar, how to do an elevator pitch, just basically whatever they need. But not only that, since I have a huge network of entrepreneurs, then I connect people together, right? That's what people kind of call me, the connector, right? So if you need
Yeah.
something, I probably know somebody who can offer it to you, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and that's kind of how the whole thing works. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell. Actually, about the business expo, this is our second annual business expo. We started the first time last year. We had
Okay.
partnered up with another company to sponsor their event a couple of years in a row, and we said, you know what, let's offer this as well. And yeah, so we're really excited about this. It's going to be at the beautiful Hazelton Manor. It's a facility they usually do weddings at and banquets. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs there and small business owners from a variety of professions. They can all come out for the breakfast in the morning with the networking. We're going to have 3 featured speakers who are all experts in business. Then we'll have lunch and the trade show in the afternoon. So it's really something for everybody. And people can bring their business cards, they can exchange business cards, promote their businesses, and then start that relationship building process. Because that's what it is really at the end of the day, right? And before we
Mm.
started, we were talking about how people go to events and they don't follow up. Unfortunately, the statistic is that 87% of people don't follow up after a business networking event. But you know what? The people who do follow up, as long as it's done correctly, then they get the most business. So what I mean by correctly is that you want to send personalized messages, whether it be a personalized email or a LinkedIn connection request or a phone call. What you don't want to do is send like a spam. And I've had this happen before. Someone came to our events and all of a sudden they sent this thing and it was all about them. Oh, I'm so
Mm-hmm.
great and blah, blah. Delete. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be
Yeah.
mutually beneficial, right? It's like, okay, look at, let's see if there's someone we can work together. So basically, we're both giving each other opportunity to, further discuss our businesses. And then that's how you get successful, right? But again, it's just one touch point in the multi touch point business development process. So what that means is that it takes about an average of 7 times for us to, be touched by a business before people decide to buy, right? What that means is, hey, on the first time someone might say yes, and on the 20th time one might say yes. And of course, sometimes people won't say yes, and that's fine. So it's not enough just to kind of come out to one event. Again, do the follow-up, do the personal message, then post on social media. People see your social media post, maybe like and comment on their post, come to our events again. And then that's how you build the relationships. Because think about this. If you need something, right? If you have a friend who does it, you're going to go to your friend, right? So there you go.
Yep.
So that's what I mean by relationship building. So it's like
Yeah.
And that's what I really try to foster. Like there's some, events people can go to, which are also good, but sometimes they're more transaction based. But even sometimes are about what get a person like this, right? And they're just there to pitch the business. And it just doesn't work, right? It has to be genuine.
Yeah,
And the person needs to know you. I don't know you, you sound like you're great, but let's, take more time into that. And that's when the referrals come as well. So you're
yeah.
building your network, creating these relationships, and then somebody needs something and they're like, hey, I know somebody. I met, I've been talking with them. I met them at an event. Right. So, anyways, that's the long story. But I'm happy to answer any more questions you got, Paul.
Well, no, and that's I think the whole thing about this, Tammy, and this is why it is such a great exercise in this. And the one word I always go back to, and I'm just sort of making my notes as we talk, so I don't forget and go into a different story and forget what I started talking about, is the importance of collaboration, and that for me is. Sort of what started the idea of doing a podcast. And again, this was, as I said to you earlier, for me, I started doing these in 2018, where there was me and maybe three other people doing that I knew doing a podcast, and those three have quit doing podcasts ever since. So, what I found along the way, and this is just about for me in both real estate and in just in business, just understanding how people work, is the minute I get to hear someone else's story, like I get to hear your story today, I'm already automatically lifted higher. I already automatically get a boost when I get to hear your story. And then the added boost, the extra boost, I'd call it, is that everybody who's listening to this or watching it, I usually I'll do clips of this so people will be interested in the podcast itself. But mostly when people hear the story coming from you directly and they get to know you, and I think you mentioned it as well. Obviously, yes, there needs to be about 7 touches
Mhm.
for people to be able to, again, obviously know who you are and know that you're real. And for me, at this point now, having done this podcast for a while, they know that this is not AI. This is my actual voice. This is actually how I dress. I don't. There's no different person when you meet me in real life. And obviously it's something that I learned, strangely enough, within the first 3 months of podcasting. And I started my real estate podcast in 2018. Within the first 3 months, I had people contacting me from all over the country that there is no way I would have ever reached them.
Mhm.
And those conversations were like, they started telling me that they felt like they knew me because they heard my voice 10, 15, 20 times at that point. But I obviously, like every other business person who has imposter syndrome, I'm sure you know that, where people think, who's going to want to hear my voice? As I said to one of my friends, he's a tech genius. He explained to me how Twitter works. This was in 2009. And I
Mhm.
had no idea what Twitter was. My theory was Twitter was just people taking pictures of their lunch and talking about it. I didn't understand what social media was. Clearly,
Mhm.
I was out to lunch myself. But he like what I saw is people taking pictures of their lunch and saying how great this food was, and I didn't get it. And then as he explained it to me, it's basically bringing people again into your life, sharing stories, and the storytelling element that we're doing today. That you were so kind enough to share so many great stories in your background and all that great stuff. But how, and just out of curiosity, I know this isn't necessarily on the topics that we're talking about, but you mentioned that you were sort of, you're in a position where you're in a wheelchair. How is your mobility? How's your mobility now?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking, Paul. Yeah, so I mean, it's way better. Like
Yeah.
I can pretty much do most things. I mean, I just have to be careful. Like, so for example, I can't play tennis, like the rotational,
Okay.
right? Or if I would go golfing, which I haven't been since I hurt myself, like I couldn't like drive the ball, like I could kind of chip, right, or putt or something like that.
Yeah.
But and again, it's just about being careful. I mean, I can't do like like lower back exercises like back extensions or, certain things like that. But the thing is that I've always just told myself, and I've had to do this. Okay,
Yeah.
what can I do?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, look at, so you know what? I'm way better than I was before. So look, I can do squats, I can do planks, right? I can do, arms and stuff like that. I can do quads and things like that. So,
Good. Good.
and again, just, you keep the tummy in, you do proper lifting technique and things like that. So that was the thing. I just had to reinforce to myself. over and over since all these years, even now, to say, well, look at what can I do? And you have to focus on the, it's the only way. If you kind of focus what you can't do, then you're just going to be depressed, and like, who wants to
Yeah.
be depressed, right?
That's again, obviously, that's, I think, obviously, you sharing all these great, things about what you've been through, the challenges that you've been through. I think people listening, I think some of you listening are obviously going to be able to sort of understand these challenges and maybe have a few yourself. But the idea of, reaching out to Tammy and, perhaps looking into the event that she's doing for me, I wanted to make sure that this podcast sort of just introduced you to her and to the concept of this. And by all means, she's clearly, she's more than on top in terms of when you're trying to reach her. So she'll definitely get back to you, and she'll make sure that you have all the details that you need for this event, and of course for anything going on in the future. But I wanted just to say thank you. I know your time's limited. You've got a lot of meetings going on right now, especially with your event coming up, and it's Thanksgiving weekend. So happy Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully you get to have a little bit of downtime and maybe a little bit too much turkey, because I'm looking forward to that. But thanks for your time, for joining me, and really appreciate your willingness to share some stories and talk about what it is that you're doing and all the great changes that you're making.
Well, thanks so much, Paul. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tammy. Appreciate your time.